At its peak, the top-secret Manhattan Project employed 130,000 workers. They built massive laboratories, towering factories, and entire cities out of nothing. The mobilization began with a discovery in a 1938 German laboratory. Uranium atoms could be split. Albert Einstein soon wrote to President Franklin Roosevelt, warning him that this new fission process could generate extremely powerful bombs. An atomic bomb requires rare fuel, uranium-235, less than 1% of natural uranium, or man-made plutonium-239. Zooming out to the United States reveals the second problem. The massive infrastructure needed to mass-produce these materials did not exist on Earth. To bridge that gap, the Army Corps of Engineers and Brigadier General Leslie Groves took command. Their objective was to construct covert manufacturing hubs to supply the necessary fuel. The effort outgrew theoretical physics. It became a staggering logistics problem, requiring an unprecedented $2 billion. The first major hub was Site 1, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. The government acquired 56,000 acres of land to build a hidden facility dedicated exclusively to separating uranium-235. Extracting that single isotope required brute force techniques. Engineers designed massive electromagnetic calatrons and sprawling gaseous diffusion plants to meticulously filter the uranium. Running these complex machines required a vast workforce. Thousands of young women sat at control panels day and night, carefully regulating the voltage and magnetic fields. Because of the project's strict security protocols, the workers manipulating those dials had no idea they were enriching uranium for a weapon. By relying on sheer industrial scale and highly segmented labor, the operation successfully broke through the uranium-235 production bottleneck. Meanwhile, a parallel effort was underway at Site 2 in Hanford, Washington. Planners selected this isolated location because its massive reactors required the continuous, cold flow of the Columbia River. Hanford pursued a different path to the bomb. Inside water-cooled nuclear piles, workers irradiated standard uranium to breed the highly volatile element plutonium-239. Operating these reactors was incredibly hazardous. The process required intense scientific oversight, relying on physicists like Leona Woods Marshall-Libby to troubleshoot early reactor poisonings and maintain steady production. Raw uranium went into the massive reactors, and a completely new, weaponizable element came out in large quantities. All of that refined fuel was then funneled to Site 3, an isolated mesa in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Here, theoretical physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer assembled a diverse brain trust of scientists. Their mandate was to turn the enriched isotopes into functional weapons. This animation illustrates their dual engineering challenge. The uranium bomb used a relatively simple gun method, firing one piece of material into another, but plutonium was too unstable for that design. It required a highly complex implosion method, compressing a spherical core symmetrically inward. Keeping this remote laboratory operating efficiently required strict data management. Librarian Charlotte Serber built the facility's top-secret reference library from scratch, tightly controlling the flow of classified research. When the components were ready, explosives assembly teams took over the dangerous, hands-on work. Technicians like Francis Dunn manipulated the heavy, volatile weapon cores to prepare them for detonation. Isolated from the outside world, this scientific community weaponized the output of the entire industrial empire, finalizing two distinct bomb designs. The uranium gun-type design was simple enough that scientists were confident it would detonate in combat. The plutonium implosion design, however, was so complex that a full-scale test was mandatory. On July 16, 1945, the team detonated a plutonium device in the New Mexico desert. The Trinity Test produced a massive, intense fireball and a blast wave that scoured the desert floor. As the mushroom cloud rose 25,000 feet into the atmosphere, the medical and scientific staff realized the explosion had created an immediate hazard, radioactive fallout spreading miles beyond the test site. Less than a month later, the military deployed both weapons. They dropped the untested uranium bomb on Hiroshima and the plutonium bomb on Nagasaki. The atomic strikes forced Japan's surrender and ended World War II. In doing so, the United States unleashed a radioactive power that would dictate global military strategy for decades. By 1946, the military was actively preparing for a future defined by nuclear exchanges, conducting underwater detonations at the Bikini Atoll during Operation Crossroads. Recognizing the domestic and international implications of nuclear power, President Harry Truman signed the Atomic Energy Act in 1947. This legislation transferred control of the atomic infrastructure from the military to a civilian commission. Over 5 years, the United States spent $2 billion, mobilized over 100,000 workers, and synthesized new elements. By successfully orchestrating that vast network of industry and intellect, the Manhattan Project established the modern model of government-funded big